Hello, my name is Wendy Zimmer, and I live in College Station, Texas, which is about an hour from Houston. And I'm excited to be reading a story to you today. I'm not a teacher now. I am in grad school going to Texas A&M to teach teachers, or to learn to teach teachers. But I taught in classrooms, mainly 3rd through 6th grade, for about 14 years. And so I love books and I love reading aloud. And so I picked a special book for you today. It's actually a newer book, and it's called The Secret Subway, and it is by Shayna Corey. And this is a literary nonfiction book that is based on true events. So I hope you enjoy it today. Welcome to New York City, the greatest city on earth. You say it looks crowded, dirty, disgusting? The streets are filled with garbage? Well, you're right. See, back in the 1860s, when the story begins, there were no subways here, only cobblestone streets. Pushcarts and wagons rocked and rumbled. Stagecoaches and buggies jounced and jumbled. Horses kicked up dirt, and drivers shouted to be heard. People pressed their way through it all, trying not to get run over. And it just kept getting worse. Something had to be done. From politicians to peddlers, street sweepers to scientists, everyone had ideas. Why not make a moving street so we can get wherever we want just by standing still? What about building double-decker roads or a railway on stilts? But no matter how much everyone talked, nothing ever seemed to get off the ground. Then, one day, high above it all, a man named Alfred Eli Beach stared down at the traffic and had an idea of his own. Beach was a thinker, a publisher, and an inventor. His father had owned a newspaper, and Beach had grown up in a simmering soup of letters and words and newfangled notions. He was also a man of action, and if there was one thing he loved more than thinking up ideas, it was making them happen. As Beach studied the street below, the wheels in his brain turned. What if he built a train powered by an enormous fan, he wondered. It would travel underground, where there was no traffic, or trash, or weather to worry about. People would get where they needed to go as if by magic. Beach couldn't wait to get started. He was certain his train could take New York into the future. But there was a roadblock. The streets didn't belong to him. And since this would be a great, big, messy, complicated job, permission to tunnel under them would not come easily. So Beach hatched a sneaky plan. He would propose building an underground tube to carry mail instead. It wouldn't be that big. It wouldn't be that messy. It wouldn't be that complicated. No one could object. A mail tube? Why not? People said. Even Boss Tweed agreed. See, Boss Tweed ran New York City. Unofficially, that is. Beach got permission, but he had more on his mind than mail. Beach rented the basement of Devlin's clothing store. Every day he sent an army of workers into its depths, and every night, after most folks had long been in bed, when even Boss Tweed lay tucked in tight, wagons pulled up in front of the store. The workers tiptoed out and loaded the wagons with pile after pile of dirt and rocks. Then the wagons rolled back into the night. For 58 days and nights, Beach's men tunneled beneath the cobblestone sewers and pipes, moving 16 inches of earth with every press of their tunneling machine, up to 8 feet a day. Until one night, the workers ran straight into a stone wall. If they removed it, the men knew, the whole tunnel might collapse. But they had come too far to stop. So stone by stone, breath by breath, They took the wall down, and when they were done, the tunnel stood still. Then one night, the drilling stopped. The tunnel, 8 feet across and 294 feet long, big enough to hold a train full of people, lined with brick and iron, was complete. Now, a new army of workers arrived, carrying paintbrushes and plaster, curtains and mirrors. When they were done, Devlin's basement resembled a fairyland. Perfect, thought Alfred Eli Beach. It was time to share his secret. A few days later, distinguished citizens, reporters, and government officials all over New York opened the mail and found an invitation. At precisely 2 o'clock on February 26th, Beach's guests left the city streets and descended into Devlin's. Then one by one, they entered Beach's spectacular subterranean waiting room. And if you can't see it, the invitation says, "You are respectfully invited to be present on Saturday, February 26, 1870, from 2 to 6 o'clock p.m. And it says Beach Pneumatic Transit Company and gives the address 260 Broadway. And then it's signed by Alfred Beach. Beach had thought of everything. Gaslights glowed, illuminating paintings and flowers, and a fountain that glittered with goldfish. A grandfather clock rang in the hour, and a grand piano played. There was even a tasty lunch spread out on the table. The guests followed Beach down 6 more steps onto a train platform. A single car waited on the tracks. "Remarkable," marveled one reporter. "The railroad of the future," agreed another. "The problem of tunneling Broadway has been solved," cheered the newspapers. And there's the train. The first day, guests simply admired the train. But it wasn't long before the tunnel was open to the public and throngs of visitors climbed aboard. With a flourish, an engineer turned on the great fan. Then swoosh! A blast of air pushed the train down the tracks. At the end of the tunnel, the train set off a bell. The engineer pulled the rope and whoosh! The fan sucked the train back again. Beach's train was a sensation. All winter, while wagons slipped and slid on the slushy streets above, people poured into Devlin's for the 25-cent ride. It looked as though Beach's plan was going to work. But wait! Some folks weren't so sure about Beach's big idea. Shopkeepers wanted their customers to stay above the ground. Property owners worried that all that tunneling might not be good for their buildings. Others wondered if it might give Beach too much power. And remember Boss Tweed? Well, by now, some of his friends had come up with their own plan for a railroad, and Tweed looked out for his friends. He wasn't going to let some crackpot inventor cut into their business. The governor denied Beach's request to expand. Screech! The underground train was stopped in its tracks. As time passed and the train didn't go any farther, the city's curiosity wore off and the stream of visitors slowed to a drip. Deep down in the quiet heart of the city, away from the clattering and clanging above, Beach turned off the great fan and sighed. Oh, well. There would be other ideas, but he had shown New York that one day people might move beneath the streets, as if by magic. By 1874, the train that went nowhere had closed. Beach rented out the tunnel as a shooting gallery, and eventually it was abandoned altogether. It might even have been forgotten. But many years later, drilling could be heard once again under the streets of New York. Another underground train, run on electricity, was being built. Workers found lots of surprises as they tunneled. a sunken ship beneath the Battery, Macedon bones near Dickman Street, subterranean streams in Midtown, and quicksand not far from City Hall. And in February 1912, 42 years after Beach unveiled his train, they ran into a brick wall. What do you think it is? When the workers broke through, they found themselves inside Beach's tunnel. There was even a little railroad car resting in its tracks and a tunneling machine perched at the end, ready to lead the way forward. Do you recognize that train? And then at the end, they give you an author's note and they tell you a little bit of the history, because this is actually a true story. And while parts are always maybe elaborated on a little bit or given their own flair for our benefit, this is how the original subway idea was created by a man named Alfred Beach. And so if you are someone who likes to solve problems or you'd like to come up with new ideas, think about the story of the secret subway and our inspiration from Alfred Beach and see if you can come up with your own ideas. Thank you for letting me read to you today.